Raise your horns high and let your spirit flow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show. Feel the rush, let the loudness grow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show.
Now we've taken up some of your time in rebooting the system. We had like a ache and IT moment, or an IT moment, I should say. So Brad, my partner here, his name's Evil, and he's going to be sitting in, and I just introduced him to War Babies, believe it or not. So this will be interesting, because I think the last time we chatted, you guys were reuniting for some gigs there in the Seattle area, and then sounds like they went pretty well. And then I think we were supposed to chat right before the first gig, and then I think the rehearsals obviously a priority, so you said, hey, let's hold off, let's do this at a later time, and here we are. So catch us up to speed on basically, the couple shows that you guys performed.
Well, one of the reasons, there's a couple of reasons I had to postpone. One, the obvious, I live about 150 miles east of Seattle. And so I was having to go to Helltown to say, I no longer enjoy it as much as I used to. I'm more of a country guy, but rehearsals, we only got two, and they were on the spur of the moment. And the other thing that got in the way is Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam actually was in War Babies between Mother Love Bone and his obligations with Pearl Jam. And he wanted in to play on some of the songs that he recorded with us off the new Vault album, the unreleased stuff. But the deal was we had to keep it on the down low, which, trying to keep secrets is near impossible. We actually managed to do so, and it was for a couple of reasons. We on the Friday night, we had a in-store performance at Easy Street Records, which is this icon of record stores that's been in Seattle since the hippies. And so we did a live performance and a meet and greet, and the owner said, please don't tell them Jeff is going to be there. Because Seattle fans, when it comes to Pearl Jam, they would have got swamped. So we kept that a secret. And the second show on Saturday was already sold out. We underestimated greatly the value that we had. And so tickets went on sale. And within 48 hours, they were sold out, which at that point, I realized we needed a bigger boat,
right? But
it was too late. So we played to 2 nights, packed audiences, warmly received. And it was a blast. The funny thing about, this business is, whether it's the bad times, this too shall pass, but it's the same thing with the good times, and you don't want the good times to pass, you want it to go on, and I suppose that's what keeps us all moving forward, so we can get back to the good moment. But it was a great time.
Nice. I know you mentioned the Vault. That's been out for a little over a year. I think it was released last July, because I think I caught up with you right before the release of
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
And the response has been pretty good to that. I mean, the tunes are good on there.
Well, it's funny. You can tell where corporate, the record weasels got involved. And, my usual self would have fought back a lot harder on the decision making, but uh, my wife and I had just had a baby, and I was concerned with money, so I was a
Mhm.
whore, and I let them talk us out of a lot of those songs that
Yeah.
should have made it. Whereas in hindsight, what I'd done, some of the collaborations, like with Paul Stanley, I think Tommy did fine with them. I wasn't real pleased with "Cry Yourself to Sleep,"
Hmm.
the power ballad, but it was kind of fun to do one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of crossing that off the bucket list, but it wasn't
Right.
really where the band was.
Right. But it's not a sappy tune.
Well, it's funny. "Cry Yourself to Sleep" originally was a fuck you letter to uh, a manager that I'd been friends with since the late 70s. He worked with Hart, and I was on tour with Hart. We were managed by Hart. We had this long history. And when I joined War Babies, he approached me and said, "Come on down." He was busy with Mother Love Bone and Alice in Chains. And he said, "I can't keep this going forever, but I want to get you started, then we'll pass it off." And then there were some allegations of funny things going on with the money that later turned out to be not so true. But it was a "Fuck You, Kelly" song. And I met with Paul, and he's known for being a bit of a diva, and he did not disappoint. Um, but it actually went, because the dark things are in the verse, the tombstones of your past, things like that. That's all dark. Then you get to the bridge, and it starts sounding Aerosmithy familiar. That wasn't me. Uh, and in the chorus, it turned it into a chick song, you know. But but I guess the world needed one more chick song.
Right. Do you have a question regarding Paul Stanley Evil? He's a big fan, and so am I. I mean, to a degree, I think there's certain eras of Kiss that I like more than others, but he may have
Right.
a follow up Paul Stanley writing session
Well,
question.
I am a Kiss fan, but I'm not a realist here. Paul Stanley's vastly overrated in my opinion. I mean, he's a great singer, and I'll give him that with his vocal abilities, but in his songwriting department, which is sounds like what you guys are working with him in, I've been saying that somewhere around Love Gun and Detroit Rock City, by the time he gets to Tomorrow You Belong to Me, or Tonight You Belong to Me, the Tomorrow song I mentioned off of Killers, some of these songs are complete rewrites of the same kind of song structure, chords, almost vocal. You could probably take the vocal melody off one and swap it for the vocal melody of the other, and it's the same song in some areas. And so I think that
Correct.
yeah, and I think that sometimes what he was trying to do, and this is why I say I think people don't give Gene as much credit. His songwriting could be a little bit more diverse in some of the way that he coordinates and writes his songs. Now he uses co-writers, but Kiss fans are always like, Paul's the best songwriter. And I'm like, well, if you want to hear the same song over and over and over, he's that guy. But if you're like me and you're like, hey, I heard that one 3 times now, bro, can you change it up? And so I think songwriting, what I was going to ask you was, did he bring that same, it seemed like during that time period in the late 80s, songwriting with other people or working with other artists, he kind of tended to try to bring them what he already did with his other songs to you, if that makes any sense, in my
It makes
opinion.
total sense. Let's start at the beginning. So I'm late for our session to his house in the hills above Sunset, and he's pissed because now he has to. He missed his personal trainer uh, meeting, and so he's pissed. And he says, "Before we get started, I just got to tell you something." I go, "Sure. What is it?" He goes, it's the boots. I was wearing a pair of boots that Andrew Wood's gal, Xana, after his death, she says, I want you to have his boots. And so I'd wear his friggin' cowboy boots. And it was hot, so I had like Bermudas and I was hungover, and so he dressed down my look. That is so yesterday, you know. And so now he's pissed me off. And so we get out our guitars. I start playing a song from my first album. Just an E minor and a C, E minor, C, Kill the Pain. And he starts playing stuff. He goes, what do you think of this? I go, yeah, okay. Like, and it's followed by, or we could do something like this off a Love Gun. And I blurted, I looked up at it and I said, it's not like I ever owned a Kiss doll. So things went immediately south from there, but we managed to get the song done,
Mm-hmm.
And I got the hell out of there. He was called in to play 12 string that Saturday night. And so it was just producer Panunzio, myself, and Paul. And yeah, we'll just keep out of that story. But the thing that I took away from it is, if you listen to the 12 string on Cry Yourself to Sleep, amazing musicianship. And I never considered him much of a guitar player, just kind of a rhythm hack, but there's an intricate picking going on that surprised me. And I used to tell the full story, which is a really ugly, bloody ending, until I kind of browsed through. Did you do one or two biographies? I don't know.
I think he's done 2 books, right? He did a biography and then some other kind of follow up to that.
I think it's the one where he talks about the deformity in his ear.
So yeah, it was the first book then. It was, yeah.
And I had an aha moment in that, those that are bullied either end up becoming the bully or perishing. And I think that's why he's so that way, and I wish him the best. Yeah, but I that's my take on it. Is there's a reason behind that facade,
right? Okay,
but that was the power ballad story.
Yeah.
Edited,
the abridged version. What'd you do with the boots? I mean, I hope you still have those.
I got in a lot of trouble in that period because I just had a kid and my marriage is falling apart, and I'm older than everybody in the band. Nobody had ever had a record deal. So I read the signs of what the fuck was going on. I mean, I'm managed by the same people that managed Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains. You could feel the shift coming. It was like the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and all the surfers are jumping out windows. It's over for them, So having this, it just turned into a classic rock and roll frontman nightmare. And at some point, I lost the boots because I decided they were haunted.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. There you go.
Because every time I got in trouble, I was wearing the
boots. Wow.
The boots.
Yeah, the boots. can you explain, because I mean, how do I put this? Mother Love Bone. I mean, I saw them a couple times, being that I'm out on the Northwest and would trek to Portland to watch. I saw Pearl Jam when they were still Mookie Blaylock. And then all the Seattle bands, Alice in Chains, when they were still somewhat of a glammy band and stuff like that. How good was Mother Love Bone?
Queen of the Rodeo.
Yeah, Queen of the Rodeo.
What's funny about Queen of the Rodeo is we had a mutual A&R guy, Nick Terzo, and he always would get in and just start chopping into the band's decision making on what songs make it. And he firmly put his fist down that would not see the light of day. And I thought it was a great friggin' song. But Terzo also came into the studio when we were laying down Blue Tomorrow, which is a song about Andy. And again, if I have anything to do with this record, that song will never see the light of day. So here he is doing it to us. And that night there was a radio and record soiree. Madonna was there. Tom Petty was there. Tommy and I pull up in a limo, and all these photographers comes running out because I had big blonde hair, and they thought that somebody goes, "It's not Madonna." So I go in there, and there's all these suits out of New York, the guys that make the real decisions. And the big wig comes up and he goes, "I just wanted to tell you, I love Blue Tomorrow. It's so atmospheric." And I said, "Well, thank you." And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, wait till Terzo hears this. Come Monday, we're in the studio and he saunters and he goes, the more I think of it, I do like Blue Tomorrow. It's so atmospheric.
Oh shit.
Within a 48-hour period, it's this transformation. Nice. I love the music. I hate the fucking game. That's all I can say about that.
But
back to Love Bone.
Yeah,
what I loved about infectious fucking grooves is what I love. And I always considered, though I love Mike McCready's guitar playing. I've done several side project songs with him and recorded them, put them out on the down low. But it comes down to Stone Gossard. Stone Gossard has this infectious groove rhythm that I love. I just loved it. And Andy was Andy. I mean, he was just this magical kind of elfin, wondrous character that he built around himself. And it broke away from what was going on. That's why I liked it at the time.
Right. You mentioned Blue Tomorrow, though. I mean, am I wrong? Did Hang Me Up get released before Blue Tomorrow? Yes, I know you had videos for both, right? But I think Blue Tomorrow got you a little bit more plays on like Headbangers Ball, and I think that's where you guys have a little bit more exposure.
Well, I think Headbangers that was promoting Hang Me Up.
Ah, okay.
And Ricky Rackman.
Well, thoughts on that though, because I think some people had this kind of love-hate with the Headbangers Ball because they were like, well, we're not metal, and they're putting us in this kind of box. And what was your take on the Headbangers Ball picking up the videos?
I always thought as a consumer that it was a fucking place, a real thing. And here we are at 9:15 in the morning. And again, I'm extremely hungover. And there's extras. They aren't like bands or people. It's Hollywood. It's like action camera.
Right.
Everybody looked busy playing pool, and it was a little on the bizarre end. But what's funny is Ricky Rackman had finally seen the writing on the wall and had cut all his big hair
All right.
off. And if you look at the clip, it's on YouTube. He's wearing a Loverboy headband, and he's got brand new shiny Doc Martens, and I think some overalls or something. Like somebody dressed him,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, so okay. So what is the plan going forward with War Babies? Because I know that it sounds like the gigs went well. They went surprisingly well. But is this gonna evolve into like maybe some more live and studio stuff? Catch us up on that.
Well, we were just happy with the in-store performance, and it was eclipsed by the next night when you have people clamoring to get in the closed doors. You're on to something. And the reception, I mean, I've done TKO reunions in Seattle. That ship has sailed, so I stuck a fork in it, only to be totally revived by the reaction to War Babies. It's the same generation, but there's just a love there for the band. I don't know how far that translates on a global level, but there is interest in Europe, and I know the guys have never been. I've been, and I think it would be worth the journey. But I'm not sure on that. But definitely, we're looking at late spring, first week of summer, kind of return to Seattle to do something with a bigger venue.
Okay.
And if writing ensues, we're just taking it in a natural stride.
Right. Nice. You got anything evil you want to throw in a question or two? I'm like, go ahead.
Oh, what venues are you looking at? I mean, I've played in bands before, and I played the Blue Moon Tavern, El Corazon / Funhouse. We played there before.
I was there when it was called the Off Ramp.
Okay, that's what they told me. That's what they told me when I was there. Yeah.
What's great is, and I'm terrible at political correctness. LGBTQ, they were lesbians, and they bought the joint. Fine, dandy. And the doorman, we go to play there. Everything's fine, but to find out the original doorman from the Off Ramp shows up because he loves the band and says, I ain't paying, I'm with the band. And the female truck driving looking replacement for him grabs him and beat him down. That guy ran home with his tail between his legs. But the bad thing about the Off Ramp, I love sweaty shitholes. I mean, there's just something about them. I mean, I've done 80,000, I've done 40, I've done 20,000, but there's just something about a dark, sweaty, stanky, packed club that is religious to me. But that there's that support beam right there in the middle. Yeah. I've always tried to figure out. So, I mean, there's a fix for that.
Yeah, I know. It's ruined so many views of the stage if you got that thing right in front of you.
Well, that's right where the front man goes.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I almost considered using it like a stripper pole, but I thought that would be a really bad idea.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
few venues I've played that have that feature, and I always wonder why would they do that there? Could they find any way in the construction of this place to not have a beam right here in the middle of our
I have
stage?
I have no idea what that originally was.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's an old
You
building,
know,
so you know.
yeah.
Ugh.
They were going to tear it down and build a tower, but
Mm.
so far I don't think so.
You mentioned TKO. I don't know if Evil here has ever listened to TKO. I have, but again, I got into rock music and going to see shows well before he did. Can you explain the influence and the sound of TKO to the Seattle rock scene for somebody that hasn't
Um,
experienced it?
TKO launched in 78, 79. One of the probably the first Seattle band. You don't count Heart as Seattle because they came out of Vancouver, um, but that actually ended up on major tours, um, doing 20,000 seaters as an opener right out of the gates. And this was something new for Seattle because to play live, you had to play cover tunes. So once the heyday of the first album was over, um, we had a split with management, and a promoter mentor of mine, John Bauer, said, you're going to make more money if you just go out and play. For God's sakes, go out and play. And so we started playing anywhere and everywhere. We oversaturated the market, and a lot of the fans ended up being musicians, and they're all 10 years young. So they're in like ninth grade, and they worship the band because look at that. I want to do that. And those people ended up being the Mike McCreadys, the Stone Gossards, the Cantrells. It's a big long list of, because if you look at their past, they all had metal past before they were grungy. They just locked into something and took it someplace else. But they've always been really generous with mentioning that TKO was part of their inspiration.
Right.
And what's weird, it's not the later TKO albums. It's like the first. And they got their hands on demos from 76, that song is unbelievable. I'm like, what? So I'll take it,
Right.
It's flattering.
Yeah. Who do you think was the most underrated band from the scene? Because I can think of a couple that you guys were duking it out. Because I think even War Babies at the time, you guys were coming out and with the debut record, there was already all the other Seattle bands kind of already established and kind of doing the indie thing. But I mean, you guys were kind of you were in the same scene. You guys were able to mix it up with those guys. So I'm sure you played with quite a few of the other bands that were less known. I mean, who are some of the underrated bands from the scene when you guys were mixing it up with them?
There was Sweetwater, My Sister's Machine, and Paisley Sin, I think was the other one that comes to mind.
Okay. Yeah, I out of those three, I think I'd have to go with My Sister's Machine. I mean, they were kind of like, if you like Alice in Chains, I think you'd love them, right?
Yeah. What's funny is it's all about timing. With us, we were set to release a year prior. And it was either Donnie Einer Jr., El Presidente of Colombia. Don't get me started on him. But it was either him or who's the slick guy that was married to Mariah
Tommy
Carey?
Mottola.
Yeah, Mottola. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Between the two of them, they decided, let's hold off on the War Babies because all the money's going to Michael Jackson. So we had to wait for that release, and that spun us into early 92 when we were ready in, I don't know, 90 and a half.
Right.
And had we released sooner, the outcome might have been different. Yeah,
Right.
never know.
Right.
But what's funny is if Seattle, if it were up to Seattle, we would have been the world champions as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't their call, and
Right.
and we were late getting it out there.
Mm-hmm. I know we talked
Thus-
about TK. Oh, go ahead.
Thus another brush with greatness.
Oh.
That's my favorite line.
But I was going to ask you about describing the sound of War Babies, because again, not in the Seattle sound. At least when people say Seattle sound, they think of like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Nirvana, and so on and so forth. But you guys had more of the gritty hard rock, right? Or how would you describe what you guys were doing?
Well, I'm basically a blues-based guy. I was singing in blues bands when I was in the 9th grade, and these guys are high school dropouts living on their own and smoking dope and shooting heroin. I'm like, oh, this is great, But, I grew up with older sisters that were listening to Motown and all that stuff, So I've got a blues background. But ergo, the early 70s, where it was Alice Cooper, T-Rex, David Bowie, Slade, and so I've taken twists and turns with what influenced me, and I've got a decade on all my bandmates, and their influences are probably, well, they're definitely much different than mine,
right.
and they're more into, Kiss fans,
Yeah.
I never had played with Kiss fans. To me, it was like Zeppelin, The Who, The Stones, the meat and potatoes of rock.
Right.
So I just come from a earlier time, and you put that on top of guys that are 8 and 10 years younger, they bring their influences. So it was kind of I always look at it like War Babies was the last great American rock and roll band.
Well, I mean, you're not that far off. I mean, that was kind of the end of that sound, really, right?
Yeah, that's the last one that sounded like that.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, it wasn't exactly Steel Panther, but it wasn't. When I moved down to LA for a year when I left TKO just to take a look, and it's before the Poisons and Warrants and all those guys are running up and down the strip with flyers, and that just wasn't for me. I just,
Yeah.
the whole glam thing. I got my start opening up for the New York Dolls, so I saw this glam thing, and
Right.
I pretty much invented it in the Northwest.
Right.
Nobody knew what it was.
Sure.
And I ended up marrying my first marriage was to a stylist. So she was always dressing me up in frilly stuff, which I loved from this 74 period of my life. There's just
Right.
something of the grease paint and just the outrageousness.
Right.
That whole thing mainly was uh, breaking out through the hippie era. Hated hippies. It was
Mhm.
our turn, and I think that's where a lot of the shock rock came from. Is just a
Sure.
bust out of the facade of peace, love, and groovy, which didn't turn out to be so groovy.
Right.
But anyhow, back to your question. What was your question?
Well, my question, what was my question there, Evil? You
It
can't
was
strike-
in regards to War Baby sound being
Oh, the
more
War Baby
hard
sound.
rock,
Yeah, you were saying
which,
there were
like, I
Go ahead.
agree. In 19, I was a teenager, but I was having my headphones and my skateboard, and I was the kind of kid who, in the late 80s, those guys, I liked all the hair metal glam stuff. Like, there's some good bands and songs in there, or whatever, but no one dressed like that I knew, because you couldn't. Who's going to find leather pants and getting that much aqua in it and doing all this fucking nonsense? We were still just jeans and t-shirt, Iron Maiden, Metallica kind of kids. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
to transition to grunge wasn't that hard on us, because we were like, well, those guys are wearing flannels and jeans like me. That's normal. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that as long as they still rocked and the guitar still kicked my ass and still had good drummers and shit, I was into it. So I don't think I got to hear War Babies as much as I know I read the name in the magazines, because I was the kid that also would go to the newsstand once a month and buy the magazines and then flip through every page. And even if I got to the back and it was like, this band's releasing this on this date on this label, might just be a little picture or just the name, I just log it in my head. Oh, who are those guys? Okay, I'll check that out later. And so I know I'd seen the name somewhere. Obviously, I love the things he was showing me on the vault. Watch Me Bleed. These songs are right up my alley. But I can definitely see what you're saying. Whereas if you release that in 89 or 90, you're right in the game. 92 things have shifted to flannels, wallet chains. Ricky Rackman's now wearing the flannel like he's from Seattle and no longer acting like the fucking glam guy from the Cat House. And so we all knew, okay, everybody should look like Jerry Cantrell and Lane Staley, I guess. So that was what you thought, right? Or whatever Chris Cornell was wearing or whatever. So I've seen
Sure.
Pearl Jam in concert. I've seen Pearl Jam at the Oakland Coliseum with the Rolling Stones. So they're, I mean, fucking amazing. So, but for us as teenagers, carrying your skateboard with your Walkman, it was one of those situations where I agree with you. They fucked up on the label. They should have dropped it when it was ready to go. You guys would have been in the game and things would be different. Waiting until 92.
And if you give a good listen to Vault, you can see where corporate influence
Mhm.
was an error. Because if you take half the songs off the debut album and replace them with the Vault songs that were ready to go, you would have had a completely different record,
Right.
and the outcome would have been different. Thus, another brush with greatness.
There you
Yeah.
go, yeah.
I think the other thing too, because at the time, I know you're familiar. Well, you were label mates with Circus of Power, but I think they're another band that was kind of in that kind of sound where, it was just gritty. It was blues influenced. It was, really no image, right? I mean, you guys were just wearing what you wore on a day-to-day basis, kind of like the grunge guys. So another great band that kind of wound up on Columbia and kind of got, didn't get the support they really needed to kind of push them over that next hump.
Well, you got to realize that Columbia was headed by a fool, and Donnie Ironor Jr. I never met Senior, but he's the guy that let Johnny Cash go. Brilliant mind. Tom Petty stormed in his office and said, "What the fuck are you doing? That man bought the desk you sit at."
Mhm.
Einer called me. I had already, because I was a senior member of the band, people felt they could share with me what the fuck's going on, where they wouldn't tell the younger guys.
Mhm.
So I'm carrying this weight on my shoulder that at the end of 6 weeks, if it's not happening, then it's over. So I'm not going to share that with the band, knowing that we're out on tour. So I'm holding that and a bottle of Jack Daniels in the left hand, just trying to, muddle through. And we had toured the States, and we're coming back to Seattle for a show. And we were offered the Mural Amphitheater at the foot of the Space Needle, which we'd played. Hell, I've played it 3-4 times. It's an outdoor venue. Evil, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
The Again, John Bauer, the promoter, pulled me aside. He goes, "Hey," because he and my former manager Ken Kinnear had they were running the Gorge, which is this beautiful outdoor venue, and he goes, "We've got Queensryche, Heart, and we'd like you guys." I go, "I'm in."
Wow.
So I let management know, Warren Entner and John Vassalou, that this is what I was going to do, and they said, "No, that's probably going to be a problem because the label has ties with the radio station that's promoting the Mural Amphitheater." And I said, "I don't care. I'm going to fucking play it." And so the next morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, phone rings. "This is Donnie Einer. How you doing? Weren't you in TKO? You guys were on Infinity, right? Ron Alexenberg's label, right? Right?" I go, yeah. Thinking, this is great. I'm finally talking to the president.
Right.
He goes, "You know the difference between Infinity and the Titanic?" And I said, "No. The Titanic had a better band."
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
That's how it starts off. He goes, "Anyway," he says, "I need to let you know that the radio station we owe favors to." And it was, I can't even the station has sunk. It's gone.
Mm.
The station that pushed us in Seattle was the station, which was KISW.
Right. Yeah.
They had it in hot rotation. Back when speed dial was a thing,
Mm-hmm.
I had the program director on speed dial, and he even said, "Play the Gorge, play the Gorge." Anyhow, Einer says, "We have arrangements with the other radio station, and I'm just telling you, you either play that show or there will be consequences." I said, okay. Well, good talking to you. And we took the show,
Mm-hmm.
and it was awesome. We did a finale. It was something, about, it wasn't world peace. It was save the planet. And the finale of the show was Queensryche was the band. Ann and Nancy came out, and Tommy, the guitar player, Tommy Mullen, and I joined this giant finale, which was Revolution by the Beatles and Give Me Shelter. And if you're gonna go out and leave a label, what a better day to have done it. It was awesome. Right. It was incredible. And for the guys, it was their first big stage. I mean, they talked about that for eons. They finally got a big stage.
Nice.
That's cool.
You got anything, Evil?
Oh, I think we're good. I mean, I'm not good.
He's good. He's good. I mean, he was just introduced to War Babies, so I think he's digging it. I'm guessing, I would strongly suggest checking out TKO too, because it's a different band, but still pretty good rock and roll there. So I'm a fan of both.
Yeah,
of bands.
the interesting thing, he'll probably need to listen to the second album because the first one
Right.
is Jurassic.
Mhm.
First one is Jurassic, but it got us great tours. AC/DC, Van Halen,
Right.
uh, Boston Heart,
Yeah.
Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
But
Damn.
when I listen to it today, it's like
awesome.
the first album is like, my God, I want to remix it,
Do it.
because it was produced by Mike Flicker,
Yeah.
who produced Heart. And so he used that whole thing of texturing,
Mhm.
which really worked for Heart, but we were Les Pauls, Flying V's, and Marshalls. And so all of a sudden, Rick Pierce has a Strat in his hand,
Right.
with playing through a Roland, and these shimmery, layers of stuff. And it's a very wet album. The second album is the one for Evil. It had the most metal impact. The rest is dismissive.
I'm looking at the things because I have the original pressings, the CDs anyways. That's all I do. I went away from vinyl. I don't know if you're a vinyl guy, but I kind of went away from that. Like once you get away from something, then it's like you got to make the commitment to stay away, because then you have to rebuy everything. To me, it was just like I went away from cassettes to CDs, and then that went from vinyl to cassettes. So it's like, yeah, I'm good. But I will say this: I own the original pressings of the CDs, and then there was also, I think, I forget I'll have to look, but there was reissues of the catalog, and then they reissued it again, I think on the cherry red or
Cherry Red.
Yeah, cherry
Yeah.
red, right?
Yeah.
And then Rock Candy reissue. I mean, I'm crazy, man. I have like four of each of the albums, four different versions.
Rock Candy was an earlier pressing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was before. Yeah.
To keep the music out there, you do a licensing thing for a
Mhm.
period of time, and once that's up, you license it with somebody else. But I've always held back things, so this reissue, you get 4 bonus tracks that weren't available on the last one. So
Right.
business, and
But the point I was trying to make, the stuff's out there, so you can still get it. So it's not one of those things where if you don't find it on streaming, it's not going to happen. But they're still out there physically.
Right.
Speaking about physically, is the vault release also still available physically? I know you had the vinyl still available. I don't know about the CDs.
Yeah, we
Okay.
did for the shows. Northwest Metalworks is the record label, and they're available online to order. There's still CDs.
Nice. Okay, just want to make sure. We'll post a link to that. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think. We had a slow start. We rebooted the computer. We got online. We talked War Babies. We talked the reunion show. Sounds like there's something brewing for spring, which I'm hoping, you guys make it down South I-5 to Portland and have a Portland show. If not, maybe I might have to consider making the trek to Seattle to see this, because, I definitely want to catch you guys live.
Yeah.
Talk some TKO, talk some of the Seattle scene, talked
What was the venue down there?
Was it the Pine Street?
Was it where was
Satyricon?
Yeah.
Yeah, Satyricon. We're just
Is
talking
it
about
still there?
Satyricon, I think last week, maybe. I think it was last week. But yeah, the Satyricon now is no longer there, but there's a theater, the Star Theater, right next door, and then the Roseland is across the street. So I mean, there's still stuff there.
I never played Roseland.
Okay. The Roseland, there's Dante's. I mean, I mean, I think you guys could definitely find a place to perform in Portland. I mean, there's still some pretty popular venues that definitely drag butts into the venue and fill them.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, no problem. Did we miss anything, Brad? Anything that you wanted to share? I mean, I love the Paul Stanley story. I've heard it before, but yeah, I mean, if you're not, I've heard it, so I think you shared enough of it to kind of give us an idea of.
You know the whole.
I know the whole story. I got it. I got the whole
We'll
story.
leave it
I think
at
when
that.
I
We'll
did.
leave it at that.
Yeah, we did the interview, I think, for Sleaze Rocks, where we did a retrospective on the War Babies album, and I think at that point I got the full story. So back then it was prior to you reading the Paul Stanley book.
It's a great rock and roll story.
Oh, it is.
But you know, the wife got after me about, you know, hey,
sure.
Why are you being so mean?
There you go. But
because if you're bullied long enough, you either become the bully or you perish.
Pretty much. Yeah, I get it. And you're right. I mean, I think Paul Stanley does come off as this diva. I mean, even if as a fan we haven't actually met the guy, you still kind of get that vibe. And then you read the book and you're like, my God, this guy's got all sorts of issues. And it's like, you know,
highly sensitive. He's a highly sensitive person.
Yeah. Very brittle. Yes. So,
well, there's a reason why Vinnie Vincent calls him Mean Mr. Mustard. And I think Mean Mr. Mustard probably fits him about as well as any nickname someone could give him. So there you go.
Yeah.
And that's a fact, actually. He really does refer to him as that. So
Mean Mr. Mustard.
Yeah,
yes.
I think that's a nice way to put it. But
he's a tall motherfucker.
Is he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
had to double check that he wasn't wearing his boots.
Right.
So is Gene.
Yeah, Gene definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Big rock stars.
Big rock stars. But so I don't know. Did we miss anything? I mean, in closing words here, parting words there, Brad. Did we miss anything? I think we got the last thing that I mentioned was the 2026 spring gig in Seattle at some point somewhere. You're going to let us know when that is. And then hopefully some other scattered dates, I'm hoping.
You know, I have a side project. We fly under the name Angels of Dresden. And what it is a co-op of musicians that we all know each other and have never been in a band together, but they're from all over the world. And it's a rotating lineup that everybody from Mike McCready to Carl Kennedy, from the Rods, marvelous drummer. Bryn Arns out of Flip, out of Minneapolis.
Right.
He's basically a producer and plays a hell of a bunch of guitar on the thing. But Angels of Dresden is available online if you look it up.
Okay.
It's just songwriting for the sake of writing, because as a writer, writers write always, or
right.
It's like a muscle. You got to keep writing.
Yeah. Nice.
So I'll get my other manager off my back since I mentioned that.
Right. and
do pick up Vault, because Daddy needs a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, to replace the cursed Andrew Wood boots, cowboy boots.
There we go.
Yes.
The boots.
The only thing that comes to mind real quick, and then I'll cut you loose because you've been great with your sharing a little bit of your afternoon with us. You mentioned blues. I mean, have you ever considered doing like a full-on blues project, you know, or blues rock? And if so, I mean, is there anything in the can?
There's nothing in the can, but once a year I'll mention it to another musician and they're like, yeah, but they're all the older ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I started, this is like 69 and I'm with these older guys and they would just jam. But that's back when jamming was improvising.
Right.
And I remember the third TKO album I got, once again, I became from the youngest guy to I'm the old man at 27.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a new lineup for TKO and they start talking about jamming. But jamming to them was the art of the physical act of playing. It had nothing to do with, so jamming to them was like, let's play a Kiss song. That's not improvising, you know.
Right.
It's like a cousin of scat.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you just on the spot, you know, which is kind of funny because at 14 years old, middle class kid, what the fuck do I have to sing the blues about? You know, but
Right.
it spoke to it. It fucking spoke to me. It's why I like Johnny Cash. I like Bob Dylan. I hate Neil Young's politics, but it's authentic. It's something real. And having survived the puppeteers of corporate rock, I have an even greater appreciation for being authentic. And you can't get more. I've got plenty of reasons to sing the blues now. I would love to do a blues album.
Nice. I'll make one recommendation as far as blues record to check out, and it's probably one that you'll go, what the hell? The Hank Williams Jr. did a blues record, and that is fucking great. It is fucking great. Yeah, it's got some.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up. It's called Rich Honky Blues, I think. Rich White Honky Blues. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
that's awesome.
It's just, he didn't promote it, didn't do a whole lot for it. He just put it out there. And I was like, fuck, this guy should have done a tour behind that and got like a bunch of some of the older blues musicians and done a full on club tour of that. And that would have been awesome.
Well,
but definitely check it out.
In cancel culture, I'm sure it started earlier. The first cancel culture I remember is Andrew Dice Clay. And the second one I remember is Hank Williams Jr.
Right.
And I can't, the football song.
Yeah, the Monday Night Football theme. Yeah.
He pissed somebody off and boom, he was gone.
Yeah.
You know, but he is as well authentic. That's what I love about him. There's no bullshit there.
And you got to check out that blues record because
I'm all over that.
I picked it up thinking, novelty. No, but it's like start to finish solid blues record, and
everything he does comes from within. It's there's something in there,
right?
And
yeah,
I love that.
You'll love it. All right.
Well, thanks for the heads up.
Thanks so much, Brad. We hope to chat with you again, maybe once you have firm plans for these this show in Seattle next year, next spring, and hopefully other stuff, and hopefully even a report on studio stuff. Like you said, you guys are just going to see how it goes, and if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the great thing was, you let 30 some odd years go by and all the hard feelings had washed away. And everybody's, less tense. So it was just about the music and the love of it. So that's the big joy.
Yeah. How often you talk with Tommy, out of curiosity?
Oh, a lot.
I have, you directed me his way and we wound up doing an interview. He couldn't get his camera going And I was like, oh shit. I have the audio of it and it's fucking great. In fact, he also had, I may have Evil cut that one up because he also talked about writing with Paul Stanley. So maybe we can put that out as a solo. Yeah, he loved it. Yeah.
You know, that was an endeavor by Sony Publishing. I've never been a fan of selling off publishing, but again, just had a child. I was keeping my eye on my wallet. And okay, we'll sell the publishing, but that gave them the power to say, we'd like to put you with Paul Stanley,
right? Or
we'd like to put you with so and so. Well, they put me with Paul, but I was with some guy that wrote hits for Jefferson Starship out in the valley. And on a break, I mean, it was so cardboard put together rehash of every Ryman Moon and June kind of. It was a bad situation. So I take a break and I go out and I call Tommy, and he's at Wes Arkeen's house. Well, Wes wrote hits for
Guns N' Roses.
Fucking Guns N' Roses. So here I am out in the valley with somebody that it's just not working. And Tommy's at Wes's house, drinking margaritas with strippers in the background, and they came up with "Cop to the Lost," which I don't think made it on Vault.
No,
I'm not sure if it did.
I don't think
but
so.
It was a great song. He had the fortune of hanging with Wes and having a good time. And he loved his time with Paul Stanley, and we had different experiences, but he is a character.
Yeah. Fun guy. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Brad, thanks so much.
Well,
we'll connect again. We'll get you a link to this and maybe you can share it. Yeah. It was a good time. It was atmospheric. Oh man,
bless you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right,
raise your horns high.